everyone. It is March 6, 2015, Friday. Um, this is my comparison of the Nexus 6 versus Apple products in general. First of all, before I say anything, I just want to, because I've been watching videos on YouTube that other people make, and some of them are switching from iPhone to Android, and some of them are switching from Android to iPhone, and all this good stuff. So the first thing that I want to say, and the first thing that I'm going to say is going to really tell you the direction that I'm going in. If you didn't already know by the fact that I'm holding a Nexus 6, this is my phone. Thomas Jefferson said, "The common man is a fool." He said that for a reason, okay? 70% of the country does background checks because the common man really is a fool. That has always been the case. That will always be the case. And I do not believe that this world will ever be even remotely decent in terms of really anything. The problem with my religion is people. The problem is not God. The problem is not religion itself. The problem is the people. The problem with any organization, it doesn't matter if it's Apple, Google, the church you go to, it doesn't matter if it's the FBI, the government, whatever country, the problem with all of those things are the people. That is the problem. Go figure, right? That's common sense. I shouldn't have to tell you that. It's like, yeah, I know, duh, blah. Well, yeah, the problem is people, okay? So when you have flawed and broken people creating technology, one of the very first pieces of technology is the cup. Believe it or not, this is technology for mankind. This will not quite as elegant as this, but this is technology, okay? The wheel, that's technology. A lot of people don't understand. Their understanding is so half-baked, and so it gets them. You get flooded with all of these crazy ideas. Okay, so anyway, I digress before I go way, way out there into the deep end and I can't come back. I am a Nexus 6 guy. Well, I'm a Nexus guy in general. I don't like third-party Androids for a reason. I don't like Apple. I don't like Sony. When I was a kid, when my birthday was coming up and my mother asked me, "Do you want a Nintendo 64 or a PlayStation 1?" Because back then the two of them were basically competing, I went with the Nintendo 64. Why? Because even back then, when I was a little kid, I know technology when I see it. And I'm not stupid. I'm not foolish. Man-made technology will always be flawed because mankind is flawed. And if you just got offended by that, I'm sorry. That's the reality of the situation, and you're just going to have to accept it and move on. I don't know. Maybe learn to have a sense of humor. Who knows? But I went with the Nintendo 64. I don't like Sony. I don't like Sony products. I don't like the fact that Sony charges just because they're putting their name on it. I don't like the fact that they're overcharging. When you look at the tech specs for the latest PlayStation and the latest Xbox, it is completely obvious in every single way that the Xbox has the PlayStation beat 10 times over. And if you don't understand tech specs, then you need to ask somebody who does, so that they can tell you flat out, and it needs to be an unbiased judgment, because if that person is a PlayStation guy, then he's going to, put his little personal spin on it. So you got to be careful. That's the nature of being human. A lot of people are not exercising self-control. Having that said, again, before I go way, way off in the deep end, and I needed to make those points clear for a reason, because they are relevant in every possible way, and you'll see why if you just learn to organize your thoughts better. The reason why Apple products in general, and I'm specifically talking about the iPhone mostly, Uh, iPhones don't have so many bugs and they don't have so many issues because of the fact that they are so limited on what they can do. Not too long ago, when the iPhone 6 was about to be released, and I watched this little thing on Channel 7 News, this fucking idiot, this little bitch, this young little motherfucker, okay, was on Channel 7, and he was telling the anchor man that he needs to get a real smartphone. And then he held up his little iPhone 6. No. Okay, let me explain something to you. iPhones are not smartphones. Booyah. iPhones are not smartphones. This right here, this Nexus 6 is a smartphone. It may be bold, and its boldness may have it, giving you a little bit of problems from time to time. But this, my friend, this Nexus 6 is a smartphone. What makes this a smartphone is that it is intelligently designed to understand universal languages. Specifically, Android is an open source software, meaning the reason why you cannot do a lot of shit on your iPhone that I can do with my phone is because your phone is limited as to the languages that it understands. And applications are easily optimized for the iPhone simply because of the fact that there is only one kind of iPhone. If people would stop buying third-party Androids, all of those companies would either A, go out of business, or B, they would have to evolve in order to stay in business, plain and simple. And again, this is why I said earlier that the problem with organizations and the problem with anything in general is people. That is the issue. So if people would stop buying third-party Android, then all that we would have is Nexus phones out there competing with iPhone. So let me go ahead and just eliminate the whole fiasco with app optimizations. Optimizing an app for an Android phone is fucking complicated and it's difficult. HP is working on something that's going to make it a little bit more easy, but it takes serious brain power to deal with one of these things, and to make them, it takes somebody who actually knows something about something. If you're an old man and if you need like a preschool phone, that's where the iPhone comes in. Because if you don't know what you're doing and you have never used a smartphone before, then you need to use something that is a precursor to a smartphone. And that is when Apple comes into play. You don't want to jump right into a Nexus 6 when you have never used a smartphone and you're an old guy and you can barely see things and you need glasses and you need help from your kids. That's where iPhones come into play. Okay? Here's another point I'm going to bring up, and you'll see why I'm bringing it up in a minute. There was a famous explorer who got off a boat, and his job, he was financed by Spain. You probably learned about this in elementary school. And he did a lot of really bad shit, and I'm not going to get into that, but when he was financed by Spain, and his objective was to go and discover America. Okay, when he finally got off the boat, all right, and he's meeting all these people that he's never seen before, and the people there have never seen him, he ended up telling oceans of people that the earth is flat. Some of you may know exactly where I'm going with this at this point. First of all, and I hope you know this, if you don't know this, then you shouldn't even be watching my video in the first place, because chances are you're a fucking idiot. The earth is not flat. The earth is round, but Christopher Columbus told oceans of people that the earth is flat. And here's the interesting part. This is where it starts to get really, really fascinating. This next part is also very humbling as well. Okay? What's really fascinating is that a lot of those people didn't believe him because they knew that he was a famous explorer and that he was experienced and that he was financed to go on this voyage. No. The interesting part is that a lot of the people were now dumber for having listened to him simply because they saw it in his eyes. They could see in his eyes that he believed in what he was saying so passionately, so provocative. I mean, he didn't say maybe, he says this is the way it is, and, done, period. And so that, my friend, is what's really interesting, is that people simply believed him because he believed himself that the earth was flat. And that if you sail in one direction long enough, you're going to fall right off the planet. Let's examine that lesson from history that a lot of people seem to have missed as they were growing up, and I didn't miss it. Let's examine that a little bit more. People are saying a lot of interesting things on the news. They're saying it, well, on YouTube it's on both sides. Of course, there's people on both sides. Years ago, having an iPhone was actually a vanity symbol. It was something as, oh, I have an iPhone, therefore I must have money, right? Well, no, because even that's definitely not the case anymore. But even back then, there were Android devices that were pretty pricey, my friend. I mean, they were, $500, $600, $700, $800. Even today, there are phones that are pricey. A Nexus 6 is an $800 phone. Okay, a Samsung Galaxy Note 4 is an $800 phone, and that's not to say that the price is not going to go down a little bit in a year or so, and that's not to say that a Galaxy Note 3 or a Nexus 5 hasn't gone down in price. Okay, but for the same price of an iPhone, there are Androids that are packing better hardware and more options that you can use, because these phones are actually smartphones. So, so when I see this cocksucker on Channel 7 running his fucking mouth, it's like, really? How stupid can these iPhone people be? And I'm not saying that all iPhone people are stupid, but let's face it, there's an infection growing out there, and it's insane. And it's like, I've always been with Android. Now that I have money, and for a while now I've had money, I always buy the latest devices. I always buy the most expensive stuff, because I know, because I'm smart, I'm not a fucking dumbass, I know that if I buy a low-end Android, I'm going to get a low-end experience. If I buy a medium-end Android, I'm going to get a medium-end experience. But if I buy a high-end Android, then I'm going to get a high-end experience. So, and iPhones do have problems. They do have issues. And, and then there's the ego that Apple has. And I haven't really been seeing this happening so much since, Jobs died. And, all that shit. But, ego, man. Ego. When Google releases something, they don't make this fucking hour-long televised. No. They don't change their website and put a countdown on there fucking a week in advance. No. Google is humble. They're flawed. Okay, granted, they're definitely flawed, I can assure you. My phone has problems just like the iPhone has problems. But it's all man-made technology. It's all human beings. And that's just the way it is. But, so when it comes down to it, the bottom line, when it comes to choosing which phone, since comparatively they're both the same, is that at least with the Nexus 6, you can learn, you can extend your understanding of smartphones, you can learn how to fix problems, blah, 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 this and that. And you're not going to be limited. You're not going to be censored. Okay, that's another problem that you're going to have with the iPhone. If you like to be censored, if you're in another country, I can't speak for you. But if you're in America, you should hate censorship. You should love the idea of having the freedom to say whatever you want without being censored. That's the American way. And yes, there are a lot of Americans and there are a lot of politicians who don't understand that. Again, men, women, children. These are all humans. I shouldn't have to tell you the obvious, okay? But that's the bottom line. Of course, we have imposters who have no business calling themselves Americans, and they make us all look bad. If you're upset, you should have the freedom to express yourself freely, and people should fucking shut their goddamn mouth, and they should sit the fucking down, and they should fucking listen to you and shut up. Because chances are, if you're upset, you probably have a valid reason for being upset, and that's not the case 100% of the time. But why would anybody, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to raise my blood pressure without just cause. Last I checked, Dr. Oz and all that nonsense on the TV, raising your blood pressure all of a sudden is kind of unhealthy. I don't know. I'm no doctor, but that's what the experts are saying. College, 12 years, me, I'm a high school graduate, so what do I know, right? But, this is what I'm hearing, so go figure, okay? That's, so anyway, that's 16 minutes right there. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Thomas Jefferson, years ago, said the common man is a fool. Christopher Columbus, we all need to take a history lesson from him. Don't learn about how, he raped and enslaved all those Indians, and that's a fucked up, piece of his history, and well, whatever. There's a very important lesson that we can learn from Christopher Columbus. And instead of choosing to be one of those fools, those gullible little fools, why don't you think for yourself and have a more realistic, more objective approach to technology and yourself instead of being arrogant? I don't know about you, but I hate arrogance. I can't stand it. It pisses me off. When I'm dealing with potential customers, it's upsetting. I have to deal with arrogant people sometimes, and I don't like it. I don't. I hate arrogance. I hate it. I absolutely hate it with a vengeance. I wish that I can just snap my fingers and cure the world of arrogance. I do. But unfortunately, I'm just a human myself, and I do make mistakes from time to time. But I guess that's why I'm able to enjoy my food, and I'm able to enjoy my sleep. And I can just live my life, pay my bills, have a little fun every once in a while, and just let people be. Because let's face it, I can't wake everybody up. It doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter how true what I say is, and it doesn't matter how big the overall points that I'm making, to you or anybody else. There's always going to be some ignorant stubborn little motherfucker that's just not going to fucking get it. And that's just the way it is. And I get that. And there's nothing I can do about it. So anyway, massagebf.com. I'm going to try and stay off of YouTube for the rest of the day so it doesn't piss me off even more. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Watch my other videos. If you want to be enlightened, be open to the experience. This world is fucked up, and that's why, it is what it is. Bye for now.